Welcome back. Today we're going to do a kind of group Q&A. The question we've got most repetitively in the last probably year is, I'm not going to do a Q&A specific because there were so many of almost identical questions that there's just no way to pick one out and not eliminate everybody, so I'm going to eliminate everybody and just answer the question. And the question is, how do I sort my fly? How do I store my flies, sort my flies? How do I set my boxes up and so forth? And so I'm going to go through as best I can how I don't think there's a perfect system yet. For me personally, I designed my fly pod boat from Clackacraft solely to carry my fly boxes. And so I have issues. When your significant other tells you you've got too much flies, reminder to watch this. So this is how I started out. When I first started this, I started out with just using a gear bag, and I still use that, and I would have these little boxes. I'll get to that in a minute. And I would carry in my gear bag, I'd carry 20 of those. And so as things progressed, I went into, like I said, the fly pod, the boat that I designed, part of it was to carry, I'm a gear junkie and I like a lot of stuff. But so what I did was I grabbed these fly boxes out of the boat and put them in here just so you could see my dilemma. So this is how I would do my boxes, so I could, each one of these has something written on it. This one says craw. And so I would carry all crawfish in this, and then these are all the smaller boxes, which are really nice. They were convenient for carrying this stuff. You know, you could have, and I would just put this tape, and I do this on a lot of my boxes where I put the tape on it. You can see that's wearing off. And I used to write on them, but when I wrote on them and then I changed something out, and I just put this painter's tape on here, and it's super simple. That's been on there for 3 years. It's been barely hanging on just like that forever. And so what I would do is I would carry all these boxes. It seems every time I fall in love with a box like this when they quit making it, I would set them in there like that. I set them in my box, or in my boat, so I can see them. They're right there. I can see the names on all of them. That's great. And so, and then it's just it's generally on this style where I take a lot of them. It's like this one's flats and bangtails, right? So everything in this box, hopefully it's worked right, is just flats and bangtails, and they're lined up. And I would keep too many flies with me. The problem with this, A, is that if you do not have a boat that has lots of storage, this is a ridiculous number of flies. And secondly, if you're not in your boat or you go with somebody else, you're kind of screwed. And so I started trying to pare down, and this is kind of the crux of the questions that I'm getting mostly, is how do you, a lot of it has to do with walk fishing or just a single bag. And so what happened is I started going to these MFC boxes, in particular this blue one, because this is the streamer box. This one, I've got several of them, but this is the one I kind of gravitated to. I can get pretty much all my flies into 3, even 2 boxes of this box. And this is kind of a pricey box, like $100 or something. And this foam insert is, I think, 15 bucks, something like that on top. And then you get the thing about these is I get a swing leaf. And with the swing leaf, I can carry, and this particular box is a tractor and bait fish style. Everything in it's that. And then I'll show you these ones. This one is for just dungeons and bigger stuff that I use a lot. And so this one here, I haven't glued. And by the way, with these swing leaves, there's 2 options with this. On these swing leaves, you can keep them out. I think I was just fishing this one. There's some weeds. You can take these out, and this is kind of handy in some respects, and you can store these things where you can see them and kind of like pull bait fish. This one's just got flies that I fish a lot, like this. You know, these are bush pilots and just different stuff here. Lots of dungeons, and then these leaves fit into these little slots right here. I glue the ones in that I don't change a lot. I don't like these things coming in and out, but a lot of people like to take them and sort them. But how I do mine, so you take this box here, and I do them in pairs. And so the pairs are 2 of every color. right? And that's how I do my day boxes like this. So I'll take this box and I'll take 2 of every color, or at least 2, and you know, 2 seems to be 3 if it's a fly you know you're going to rock and you're just going to go back to it. That's a lot of flies for one day. You're going to throw, if you're like Johnny, you'll throw 1 or 2 in the tree and you'll still have 1 that you won't catch anything on anyway. But the rest of us, you know, usually 2 or 3 flies will keep you going. And that's just what this one said. It's all bright flies because I was fishing on, I knew I was going to go fishing on bright sunny days for 3 days, and I've stacked this box full of attractor flies. And I go 2 to a style. On the ones that I really think I'm going to need a lot of, I do 3. Like on a, I'll get to that in a second, but on the white boxes. But the other thing about this box is it's got this little drying patch. It's an add-on. And this isn't about boxes, but it's just something I really like. You could do this, you know, this foam patch. And what I do with that is that I dry my flies outside. And that's kind of where I've moved forward from this always in these boxes, and I've gone to these, and I don't like to put my flies back in the box wet. If I do that, especially if you have an olive marabou fly and a white like a barely legal, you will have a yellow fly when you're done. Those colors will, the first time you take that fly out, they'll bleed into each other. And if you can just open them up and let them air out quickly, you won't have that bleeding effect, and it won't bleed. Like if you got a black dungeon and you put it next to a white one, your white one's going to be gray. This is a lot better system. If you're not doing it, even if you keep another box around that you can just dry in, that's a great idea. The other thing this does for me, as you can see, and as I fish, I have a rotation. Those of you, you've seen my seminar, if you've watched this before, I have a rotation on my streamers. I go from, depends on this time of day, but I'll start light, start dark, and I'll go from, just for example, it's, you know, it's just a regular day. I start dark, and so I go black, white, olive, tan, yellow, chartreuse, you know, some sort of rotation like that. I like to see that I'm doing that when I'm changing my flies. A lot of times you'll watch people, they'll go through a rotation of the same color over and over and over. You had a great day yesterday on olive, and you just can't get off olive, and you're not getting bit, so you're not really doing anything. So I like to make a pretty bold move, black to white, you know, tan to olive, yellow, chartreuse, blue, pink, whatever. I make big moves, but I don't fish very long. But I like to see that I've done that. So here I have white, olive, tan. This is doubled up because I had a feeling that was going to work, didn't work. Gray, yellow, chartreuse, and you can see I'm fishing bright day. I mean, all day I'm running pretty bright colors, but I can see what I've done, and at the end of the day, it's very easy to go back, and now these are all storage for me. I have these, I don't have these in the boat with me anymore. These go to complete storage, and that's what this is all about. That's if, and again, I can pretty much, especially with these swing leaves, I can get easily 2 of these boxes. I could get 2 or 3 of every fly I have, and just and go right through it. So, but most people are either going to be walking or carrying a gear bag, like a Simms gear bag. And so Jeremy uses this. This is a smaller one because he can get 6 of these into a regular Simms gear bag, which is the most popular one we have. These are double-sided, so you get a ton. You can see in them. That's pretty cool. That's pretty helpful. You can see your flies while you're in there. And the Cliff box, this is for sure, if you take, this is the biggest one. You can't necessarily get as many. There's one smaller than this. This is the Bugger Beast. You take the Junior, and it's about this size, and you can pack that full. These are great boxes. Again, 2 to a side, lots of flies in there, and people will do that. But I still like to have this style where I can have one working box and then, you know, and store out of it. And if I go to this style box, I can easily do 6 of these again into a gear bag. So that's how I do in the boat. So I'm going from storage unit, this would be in my truck or at the house or wherever, and I build out of these boxes, usually 2, maybe 3, and it's not too crazy in the boat. But then the question I get asked most of all is when I'm walk fishing. So when you're walk fishing, how do you set your boxes up? And I'm going to digress here for a second. when I do this, this is how in my old videos or anything you've ever seen in the old pictures, the old books, I would carry these boxes, these Plano boxes, or the Bugger Beasts. These weren't out yet back in the day. And so I would take these and I would mark them. This one says white. And so I didn't go by categories. This is just a white box, right? And so we didn't have as many flies back then. And I would set these in my gear bag, and I still do that. When I go fish with Johnny, Jeremy, or whoever, and I can't take my boat and all my flies, I'll take my gear bag, and I'll have 20 of these boxes, and they're set the same way as they used to, white, and just because I still have them all. And then this was like by style. That was just peanut envy, or this is a circus peanut. I mean, great fly. And so I would just have an envy box, but it was right there. Boom, boom, boom. I could see all of them. Now, when I'm traveling, if I'm like going to go out for a day fish, basically I'm going to run 2 Bugger Beasts. This is just, I could get away with one, but man, I'd have the box pretty packed. But I could do it. Basically, what I do is I'm going to take 2 of my favorite flies in at least 3 colors. So for me personally, when this thing goes out the door, I've got 2 of these. And I just grabbed the wrong one, I could have showed you, but on mine, I'm gonna have a white, black, olive, and natural dungeon, 2 each, right? I'm gonna have a white, black, and olive boogeyman, 2 each. I'm gonna have 2 barely legals, olive and white, period. I'm gonna have 2 peanut envies. I'm gonna have a cougar, I'm gonna have a stacked blonde, and a tan woolly sculpin. And I'm gonna be fine right there. I'm gonna cover everything, I'm gonna feel good. If I've got extra room, I'm going to throw a little, you know, a flatliner or something like that in there. But basically, a minimum of 2 to each style that you really, really have confidence in. And you should be able to do that. You should be able to get about 6, 12, 14 to a side of each one of these. That's plenty of flies for a day fish. And so I carry these, and I've got those working boxes I just run with at night when I'm just going to run up, between the lakes or something. And so I use basically 2 of these boxes, 2 of each, and like I said on my dungeons, when I go through white, black, tan, olive, or tan being natural, if you know you're going to go out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you probably don't need chartreuse or white so much that you can go down to a single. It's real simple. Load up on the ones that you know you're going to fish. I know I'm going to fish a dark fly, it's 4 o'clock right now. If I was leaving right now, I'd have more dark flies, 3 or 4 of the bright stuff just in case, and I'd be good. And then I'd be working out of this big box, using these as storage, these as my walking boxes, and my, or if you don't want to do these bigger boxes, just start loading these up. I like to do them by color or by style. You could do bang tails or whatever, just like you do this. But that's how I do my own. Again, couldn't do just one of those questions because there's at least 20 of those that ask the same question. Hope that helps you out. Hope you liked it.